The quality that you have, it's important. And again, like as entrepreneurs, people are watching everything we do. All these little things that you do, you buy quality products, take care of yourself, it all fits into the same thing. It's your image that you're giving to the world. They're going to take that image and make a decision on you based on the little things that you've done.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to this Business Monday episode of A Call to Leadership. Well, there's a topic we're going to discuss today that hits very close to home for me. It's fiscal conservatism, which can be cleverly disguised for really just being cheap. And we're on the show today talking about the relationship between true quality and the entrepreneur's journey in maximizing its benefit, not minimizing the usage of capital when we truly need high quality output. Can't wait for you to listen in. I'm Dr. Nate Salah, and this is A Call to Leadership.
What Elon Musk said, quit worrying about saving money and spend that energy in making more money.
That's a good advice.
What he said.
Yeah.
Well, he probably would have said, quit spending money at Five Below. Have you ever shopped at Five Below?
I have.
Actually, it's not
I
a
have.
bad place.
It's not a bad place. It's a great place
Yeah.
to take kids
Yeah.
and let them fill up their basket,
Right.
right? Because they feel like so we do that a lot. Like that's like a thing with our kids where, if they've had a good week, we'll be like, okay, we'll go to Five Below, and like they fill up one of those little baskets and maybe it's $30, you know what I mean? But they have like 30 things. And so, they get super excited about being able to just grab anything they want and throw it in their little basket, and then they check out. And so, no, it's good for them.
Yeah, it's like the next level up from the dollar store, right?
Yeah. I don't think the dollar store, I think, is $1.25.
Yeah,
now.
that's
not even a
$1
dollar store anymore. So Dollar Tree is no longer Dollar Tree.
So
My kids are way more expensive than your kids, apparently. So
I was at Five Below not too long ago, and I was buying just some stuff for the office. Can't remember what it was, and my headphones had gone out. And I saw some headphones there, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just grab these, right?" And I don't think is everything at Five Below. I think there's some stuff that's over $5 too. So I want to say these were $10.
couldn't you phone a friend at that point? Didn't you phone a friend option?
Phone
a cousin?
Phone a cousin.
I wonder
Like,
what
hey,
the
man,
radiation
but it
you
says
got
to
from
boom
just-
on there. So I was like, "Oh man, to boom!" And actually, I thought you had held these, but they're. They look.
They do not.
They
do not. They do not, Nate.
Come on, man.
Because you're not an Apple guy, bro.
They are white.
They're
Listen,
white.
pull that out.
They are white.
They're white.
They're white. I'll give you
They're
that.
white. No,
They're in
I
a
think
similar
that.
case.
So I
Smooth power.
yeah. So I got on the phone. I guess I got on the phone with you, and I was like,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah,
man,
you did, yeah.
how can you hear me?" You're like, "You sound muffled." I didn't want to tell you. I was so embarrassed.
As you should be.
And it was, I don't know. I was just, perhaps it's the optimist in me because I am a consummate optimist. I'm like, there's a possibility.
How much were they?
$10. And I was like, how bad could they be? Right?
So how bad are they?
They are horrible. They're so bad that I decided to keep them and use them as a prop for when I do public speaking now about the difference in quality, right? And so next we were at our last retreat, and one of our group members, PJ, who we've talked about a little bit, is also an Apple person, and he had his AirPods. He's like, check out my AirPods, especially the new noise canceling, because we had just recently went out to Palo Alto, and we were with some early Apple employee and an early Apple employee, and talked a lot about Apple's new technology. And so it was awesome. I mean, the noise, it was like I was in
Changes your world.
a chamber.
Dude, and like everything cancels out.
Everything.
Yeah,
cancels.
it's
I was
awesome.
like, what? You got yours, right?
Yeah, I literally don't leave home.
Oh, great. Let's take a look at those, because mine, I left
Mine
them
are
home.
filthy.
I brought my box.
Don't judge
So-
my.
You got yours too, yeah.
We should recognize though that all three of us have them.
Yes.
That says something.
It does
Right.
say something.
3 people in a room all have
Right.
them.
So
Yeah.
feel the weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's certainly probably 2,
And
3 times away.
Yeah, and yours are a bigger kind of box than mine is too.
Yeah. It's interesting. So I put them on, and they do work, by the way, with Android, just so you know. I mean, I've got
Do these not work with Android? I don't know.
They
I'm not
do.
being- They do.
They do work. They work with anything. In fact, several retreats ago,
Yeah.
you had me get my iPad And then now I bought my headphones, and I actually bought the watch too.
You stuck your foot in, then your arm, then your left finger. Like you're like
Twister with Apple.
You're playing
right?
Twister
Like,
here.
jump in.
Yeah, thank you. That's
I just gotta
exactly.
get the phone. I just gotta get the phone. So maybe we'll just do that soon here together.
Just order it for him.
I can send it to you right now.
Right.
Just let me know.
Literally
Send a text
order it
message.
for him. Once it's at his house, he's gonna play with it.
like,
You know, he's
yeah,
gonna
it's
open
like-
it. He's gonna play with it.
The point of this episode is to really just discuss this idea of quality, right? And innovation in quality when we take shortcuts, especially as entrepreneurs, right? Because sure, it's silly and it's fun to talk about this, but this is a representative. This is representative of some of the things we've all done in our business life,
Mhm.
right? And not just you, the three of us here. Someone listening is like, yeah, I bought the $10 set of headphones, which I knew they wouldn't work. This is hyperbole, right?
Mhm.
But whatever it is in my business that I've done in the past, because I wanted to cut a corner, I wanted to save, and it ended up backfiring on me because these are expensive.
They are expensive.
$250 is what the label says here, right? And I
Worth
couldn't even get a
every
deal.
dang penny of them.
Worth every dang penny.
Yep, 100%. Like I can't survive. Like today, left my house. I took my son to another hockey practice. It's every day, pretty much. So it feels like every day at least.
Right.
Was it going in the rink? I took my AirPods. Like I don't need to carry my AirPods in the rink. Like I'm not gonna get on a call.
Yeah.
Got a mile from my house. Realized I did not have these. Guess what I did?
Turn around and back out.
Turned around and got them.
1,000%.
Listen to me. There is no call that's going to be past. If it's longer than 3 minutes, this comes out. Like I can't. Like it's. Yeah, I mean, I think.
It's just easier. You have your hands. Like I don't like holding the
But
phone.
we've
up
had
to my
Bluetooth
head.
for a while.
No, I know, but
This is
these just
nothing
work.
new.
They work well.
They work well.
They work. They
They're
do what they're
comfortable,
supposed to be.
yeah.
They're comfortable. They work well. I mean, dude, how many times have you and I been on flights and we've had these things in our ears for 3.5 hours, 4 hours? You know what I mean? Like
Once a month.
Exactly. Like all the time. So like
Yeah.
I could not survive. I mean, I could survive. I'm not trying to do that. But like these make life so much easier. And I will tell you this,
Yeah.
right? You spent $10 on those, right? If I spend $10 on something, I don't value it.
Right.
I lose it. I break it. Right. If I spend $250 on something, I know where these things are at all times. You know what I mean? Like I'll get a
Right.
little panic and I'll be like, whoa, where am I? You know what I mean? Like sunglasses. I used to always buy Quick Trip, which is a convenience store here in St. Louis, right? I'll just run in and buy a pair of sunglasses, right? And I would lose them, I'd break them, and I didn't care about it until finally I didn't have enough money, but I did. I bought a pair of Ray-Bans. They probably cost me like $150, right? And I kept those for like years. And I was like, what's the difference? Like, how am I? It's because I'm more cognizant that these are expensive. I don't want to break them. I want
Right.
to. And so with that, right, I'm not saying there's definitely a quality standpoint, but also for me, there's something subconscious that if I pay more for something, I take better care of it.
Absolutely.
So
100%.
I take better care of it.
You
Like,
go buy a $5,000 car, or you buy a $50,000 or
Right.
$100,000. It's different.
yeah,
It is different.
it is different.
Yeah,
And so you
and-
get more use out of something you spend more money on because you take better care of it and it ends up lasting longer.
You didn't have the. I mean, I think it comes down to expectation. Did you really think those were going to work good enough for you?
I thought they would.
Like I would have
work.
like no way. No.
At least they would work. Now, granted, it might be, and I don't want to be stereotypical because they're stereotypes, but may have been a little bit of the old school Palestinian in me coming out, being like, "Oh, I've got a great deal on these headphones, right?"
Don't offend me.
I'm sorry, man. Yeah, you can file a complaint to yourself. But I thought that would at least work, but would they have worked well? Probably not. It was totally taking a risk, right? However, I was in a jam and I'm like, I have got to get some headphones, and I'm like, oh, they're on the shelf. How bad could they be? Like so bad that you shouldn't even be selling them. I mean, like
I will
It's
tell
that
you.
bad.
Yeah.
I will tell you that is made for an Android user, and I'll explain myself.
okay. To boom.
No Apple user that has a MacBook, iPad, iPhone looks at that as a
acceptable
replacement for anything we own. And you know what? Call it what it is. Apple used to be like the was like the uppity brand, right? It's not like that no more. Everybody has an iPhone.
Yeah.
Everybody has AirPods.
Right.
That's kind of gone away,
Yeah.
right? But an Apple user like myself, who's very loyal, brand loyal
That's
to
offensive,
Apple,
isn't it?
it's offensive. And if you don't have an iPhone next time I see you, I might have to walk off this podcast until he has a new one.
Accountability.
Right.
So we just had an
Right.
episode on accountability.
Because if you have a green bubble when I text you next,
Oh, it does frustrate me.
we
yeah.
have to text on WhatsApp for him.
Why?
know.
Otherwise-
do you see a
I
green
know.
bubble on your iPhones?
No, we have the
So
clean.
if you text from Apple to Apple, it's blue, right? If you
Fine.
text from Apple to an Android, it's green.
Hilarious.
And so like you can't even like, so it's a thing
Group
like Apple
texts are
users,
different,
yeah, group
pictures
texts
you
are
send.
different, pictures on, and Apple does it on purpose, right? Because they
Sure.
could easily open up iMessage to everybody. But there is something, if I text somebody, and this is probably one of the most prejudiced things I'm going to ever say. If I text somebody new, like, you put their phone number in and it pops up green,
You think
I immediately am judging that person.
100%.
I
No
am
way.
immediately judging that
This is
person.
the thing.
I
I don't know
love
where
I
you've
am
been.
judging that person.
Nate, I
I
can't
know.
believe this is new.
I'm
Bro.
judging that person. I'm going, seriously?
Yeah.
Like, it's somebody in business. So, like, right. They have enough money to be able to buy an Apple phone because everybody has it. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, seriously? Like, that's
You
what I
might-
think in my head. Like, seriously?
You might have like a Hawaii or like an Asus phone that's like running Android or like some Chinese phone. No offense, But like at the end of the day, like it says something. Like realistically, so we have like group text. So that's why I moved you to WhatsApp. By the way, if you didn't know, there's a reason why I moved you to WhatsApp, because group texting with Android phones will not allow iMessage, nor will the data be like if you send movies or pictures, it's messed up.
And it's not encrypted either.
Yeah.
It is
Exactly.
a little bit of an irony, especially, and for anyone listening, we have a leadership mastermind group, and there are about a dozen members in this group. And everyone in the group, except for the group leader, has an Apple phone. The irony of this, too, is that the group leader, you have to guess who this person is, wrote part of his dissertation on Steve Jobs and has an intimate knowledge of everything Apple, yet I still don't have an Apple iPhone. This is true.
Have you ever
I know,
had an
I'm well-
iPhone?
Yeah, I had initially.
I thought you used
yeah.
to, yeah.
Yeah, when it first came out,
Yeah.
I was all about it.
Right.
And something happened along the way where I don't know what it was, but I don't remember. Something happened. Maybe it's repressive memory where bro, I'm getting one. All right.
No,
By the
you
next
got one.
episode, I
Order
got
it. Just order
I'll
it.
handle
Yeah.
this after. I leave.
All right. We are totally tangenting this episode, but it's good because this does speak to, I'm glad you brought that up, about a psychological focus when you've assimilated to high quality, right? Because you've assimilated to high quality is what you're saying. And because of that assimilation, any imposter to high quality is automatically rejected.
Mhm.
I think that's important to have the conversation around that, because and here's what we're talking about quality. We're not talking about it from necessarily the pretentious part of it. We're talking about from the practical application and usage of it, because higher quality gets you better results, right? Period. Whether it's technology, whether it's people, whether it's facilities, right? And we've all skimped. When I buy shoes, right? I buy shoes that are higher quality. They're going to last me longer. When I buy, like you said, my glasses, different things in my life that I need, my car, right? When I buy, now there are some things I will buy at a lower cost, but I don't need a high quality, experience, right? But the overwhelming majority, I found that it pays for itself, and it pays dividends.
1,000%.
Yeah. It does. You get what you pay for. And what's funny is Apple has made such a impact on our view of quality, and it's separated itself from Samsung and LG and every other Motorola, every other manufacturer, right? So now you have a perception that the iPhone has better parts, better quality, and it has a better image. Let's just say, like you just said, as an Apple user, if someone doesn't have an iPhone, you question you don't know who you're talking to.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I see I see a a green bubble, it's difficult for me to text back. Sorry, Ruben. Ruben, our counterpart on this call, he's an Android user.
Well, and I think it actually can cost more. It can cost more when you start there because look, I have
you already spent $5 more than I spent on my AirPods.
Agreed, and I had to go back and buy more. So there's $10 out of my pocket plus the time loss.
Yeah.
But not only that, I mean, even the show. Like I bought these are not our original microphones. Our original microphones were $200 microphones, right? Yeah. And then I was like, man, I need better microphones because it doesn't sound that great. So I went and bought $300 microphones. I'm like, still not good enough, right? So then I ended up, I don't know what these were, like $400 or $500, right? And now these are the same ones that a lot of the highly popular podcasters use. And I understand why, because the sound quality is professional, right? And it's so clear. And it's not just in all the other equipment for the show, the cameras. I started out with other cameras. And I'm like, no, I need the $1,000 camera so we have better quality in our picture, right? All of this creates what? A better experience. A better experience for all the stakeholders. So us in business, right? That is the thrust. The thrust is, what is the experience I'm creating for all my stakeholders? Think about your employees. Think about, am I skimping on their needs, on their supplies, right? Am I going out and buying the cheap stuff that's not going to last them long, or that's going to cause them to have to work harder?
Right.
It's going to end up costing you more, by the way, in labor and frustration and possibly turnover and productivity.
Yep. No. I think that usually, now I will say, right, I don't buy things based on brands totally. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like go out and buy a $500 t-shirt because it's got some name on it. You know what I mean?
Or a Rolex.
Well, Rolex is quality. And you actually will make money off that. It's an investment.
Just saying.
But you are right. You know what I mean? Like the quality that you have is important. It's important. And again, like as entrepreneurs, people are watching everything we do. You know what I mean? So yes, you can sign a contract with a 25-cent Bic, right? Or you can go spend $50 on a nice pen and people sign a contract with that. It's something they remember, right? It's these little small things. It's impactful. It's these little small things. You're not going to win a war by a nuclear bomb, right? Like you're going to win a war one little small victory at a time. And all these little things that you do, you buy quality products, take care of yourself, right? It all fits into the same thing. It's your image that you're giving to the world. And they're going to take that image and make a decision on you based on the little things that you've done.
Absolutely. In fact, this reminds me of when we were doing Clearwire years and years ago, and I sent you to Vegas for some meetings. You remember that?
You always send me to Vegas.
Yeah.
But
And you and I was in charge of the finances, so I booked him what I thought was a reasonable establishment. What was it, Circus?
That was the last time you booked my travel.
So we talked about this story
because with Ruben.
Yeah, 2-3 weeks ago when we were out in Vegas, we stayed at a hotel that was next to Circus. And I like our room, we had nice rooms high up. And I said, what is that place like behind Circus? It looked like it was a motel, right? I mean, but it looked like something you would see like in like Law and Order when they were like coming in to like break up some like sex ring or something. I was like, who stays there? And Sam goes, you know who stays there? Nate put me up there so many years ago. And I was like, no way. He picked that place. Like how? He said it looked fine online when he was looking at it. It was like $89. I was like, what?
It's so
it was
bad
scary.
That Ruben, who's pretty frugal too.
And you just met Ruben, right? Like
I just met him. Yeah. Drives me up to this place. There's working people outside from multiple industries. Let's just say that I can't talk about here.
Some entrepreneurs.
Multiple, who knows? They're CEOs.
Gig economy.
Yeah. And he's like, and I was already out, and Ruben's like, you're not sleeping here. I'm like, I'm not. So yeah, Ruben's like, you just, stay with me. I'm like, no. I'm like, I walked into the hotel in front of it, which was a Circus. Well, first and last time I've stayed at any one of their hotels, by the way, which is an upgrade from what I seen, right? There wasn't transactions outside, so it was much better. Like I said, you get what you pay for. I've always been a get what you pay for guy, probably more excessively than most. I'm not afraid to pay for quality or pay for something better. Some of us like deals. Some of us were the deal searchers.
Some things die. Some things still look for deals.
Things stay the same.
Right.
No matter how much
they change,
successful you are, how much money you have.
For sure. Yeah. Some things are ingrained.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you that you have to think outside of like, okay, is this the best deal? Right.
Mhm.
Because that's where I was at the time. I was like, oh, this is the best deal. It looks decent. Right. Yeah. But clearly the environment was just not acceptable. Right.
You didn't Google Earth it.
Right.
I didn't Google Earth it, but it happens, right? One time I wanted to save on a car rental, and I rented the economy car, and I got the car, and it literally was from. I mean, I didn't even think you could still do this. Not have roll up windows that were automatic. They were the actual roll, and the locks were the pull lock. I'm like, I didn't even know their cars still had these things, and so my wife, who sometimes ribs me about this kind of stuff, I'm at the toll booth. Yeah. And she's video recording it. She's like, yeah, as you roll down this window to do all this stuff. And it's like, it was only like another $8 a day to go up. And I was like, it should be okay. This is granted. This is many years ago.
You've came far. You've definitely came far.
I appreciate that. Far. But I've learned that, man, you've got to like sometimes take the blinders off of this incessant drive to reduce cost.
Yeah. I think the word,
because it's at your peril.
It is.
Times.
Oh, yeah.
I guess word for it's cheap. Okay, that's the definition we're describing for those of you out there who fall into
this category. Don't be cheap. That could be the title for this episode.
Don't be cheap.
So here's the thing, right? There is a point in your life where you should be, right? Maybe you're not. Maybe the income's not there. You're taking care of a family. Every dollar matters. Like, look, I get it, right? There is a point where there's a quality to cost, trade-off, right? Mm-hmm. And going into it that you're trading cost for, and you're sacrificing quality, right? So it is what it is. But there's a point where, you've quote unquote got stability. You've I want to say made it. We've never made it completely, but let's say you're in a different position you were then.
You have comfort.
It doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, that, $8 a day you saved isn't going to matter when you're gone.
Right.
You would have just wished you would have spent the $8 and had the power windows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at life in general. Right. Is that, it's okay to be frugal. It's okay to make decisions on things that maybe are less valuable to you. But I also believe that you should live your life to the fullest if you can and spend. You can't take it with you. You can't fit all that money in a grave anyway. So my grandfather, used to tell me that, God rest his soul, he used to say that. He's like, he liked nice things. He liked, remember him, he had the nice cars. He wore nice suits. He lived his life, and he used to tell me, he'd be like, you can't take this with you, man. Live your life. Enjoy yourself. If you're making it and you can do it, do it. And that's what I believe.
And I absolutely love these AirPods. And the next episode, not next episode because we're going to record that today. the next time we meet.
Next time we're here, you're going to have an Apple phone?
I will have an Apple phone.
Promises. I've heard this.
You
before.
will. Or there's going to be two of you.
I said I'm
It's
close.
going to be the Travis and Nate on Business Mondays. I'm boycotting this Android phone on the table.
That's funny.
It was good.
Yep.
Okay, Chris, we're going to hit stop, hit record again, and we have to blaze one more. Well, my friend, we did it. I'm so honored you were able to join me on this episode of A Call to Leadership. Now, this might not be for everyone because you really have to be in a certain place in order to take the kind of steps to level up your leadership. And I want you to be taking steps. You who feel like you're ready for something like this, you can go to our website, greatsummit.com. I'll make sure that's in the show notes. You and I will get to spend some time together and really focus on aiming for greatness.